Today we are kicking off our player evaluations, and just a friendly reminder that Jonathan Huberdeau's resurgence is a big reason why the Flames hung around for as long as they did.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Today, I thought that we would start our player evaluation series because we need to give these players the praise and their flowers, as well as provide constructive feedback, because that's the name of the game, right? Make sure you are subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And let's jump right into this with Jonathan Huberdeau. Okay, let's be honest. How many of us actually had Huberdeau scoring 28 goals on our bingo card? How about 20 goals? I, quite frankly, was hoping for somewhere between 15 and 20. And not hoping for, but expecting, because of just patterns. You know, what can you expect? You can't just expect a player to have like this crazy bounce back year without like any evidence, I guess, truly. Unless you look at Jacob Markstrom and you look at how he goes like every other year. Good year, bad year, good year, bad year. And that's better luck next year to the Devils, I guess. But in all seriousness, Jonathan Huberdeau just shattered every expectation this season. I don't know how else to say it. Like, we were seeing flashes of vintage Huberdeau, and it was a little creepy at first. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of like oh my God, like, do I get my hopes up? What am I seeing? Is this actually happening? And it was, and it did. His shooting percentage went from an 8.4 last year to a career high 18%. His closest is 16% back in 2020, 2021. So, wow. He more than doubled his shooting, almost tripled his shooting percentage, which is very impressive considering last year, we would just watch him whiff, or we would watch him overpass. And this year, it felt like there was finally that confidence, that trust in himself to shoot the puck. And we got that. 28 goals. I was honestly hoping for 30. When he hit 25, I was like, he's going to do it. And then he didn't. But that's okay, because 28 goals is still more than any of us expected or had kind of hoped for. I think that just having this season be his third year in Calgary, I feel like, he's settled in. He's gotten acclimated to the lifestyle, to what's expected of him, his teammates, his coaches, the staff, and the type of game they play in Calgary, because it is very different from what you play in, or what he played in Florida. I think that a big boost to him was, of course, playing with Kadri. Kadri, we'll talk about in just a little bit here, has a way of boosting every player around him. And we saw that with Martin Pospisil and Connor Zary last year, and then this past year with Huberdeau and Coronato, and really anyone he plays with, they managed to play up to him. And I think that was a big part of Huberdeau's success. And I hope that maybe we see more of that next year, or maybe we see a situation where Kadri's, we'll talk about Kadri a little bit later, but where he's anchoring, some of the younger guys again. But I think that you could tell that there was a difference around Jonathan Huberdeau. He looked like a better player on the ice. He looked, again, more comfortable in his media availabilities. You didn't see him get benched for a whole third period. And I'm not saying he's playing up to the $10.5 million contract, but he certainly didn't make it feel as bad as, as it has been. He did finish the season with 62 points, which is, again, the highest he's had since arriving in Calgary. Not where you want him, but it's closer to that 70-75 range than he was the year before. And I hate saying, like, oh, it's baby steps, but, like, truly, I don't know what you can do with this other than manage your expectations. And I think that's why this year was so exciting and rejuvenating to watch Jonathan Huberdeau out on the ice having fun with a high-end player like Nazem Kadri. And coming up next, we are actually going to talk about Nazem Kadri and all about just how important he is to the Flames. Coming up next. Did you know your Fire TV is also in Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With Wi-Fi 6/6E and auto low latency mode, advanced technology, Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay with lightning fast speeds to help you stay competitive. Play high quality Xbox games at the fraction of a cost of a console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your gaming wherever you plug in. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's episode of Locked On Flames. Make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are still here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames, every day through a good chunk of the offseason. So let's carry right on, shall we? Nazem Kadri. Okay. His name floated around, trade rumors. Oh, he wants to go back to Colorado. He wants to go to a contender. The Flames are going to listen and let him take control. No. He shut those rumors down pretty early. And before the season, I don't want to say got out of hand, but before the season got away from them and we were at the trade deadline. And I think that is one of the reasons why the Flames continue to keep Kadri around. I mean, other than they need him as a player, he is vocal to the media. He is not afraid to respectfully shut rumors down or be snarky in a way that isn't, it's not seen as disrespectful. It's funny because of his delivery, and that's what it is. It's not disrespectful. He does it in a tactful manner, and that's a big thing. You don't want bad attitudes around. We've seen what that can do to a room, and I don't think we need that. I think we've moved on from that. But enough about the intangibles that coaches love. Let's talk about him hitting a new career high 35 goals at 34 years old. What a crazy stat line. He just keeps getting better with time, and that's incredible. He has grown into this really fun, likable player. And I am thankful every day that he left Toronto for Colorado, and that has led him to Calgary, because the personal growth he has done and shown is it's pretty impressive. His shooting percentage is up 2 points, or 2%, from 10 to 12. Not bad. I think that with Kadri, you know what you're getting. He is as advertised. And this year, he had so many great, like, highlight goals, whether it's the quick hands, the agility, or both, or just how clutch he was. Like, you could almost guarantee something from him every game. And I think that's really what you need. What every team needs is consistency. While a lot of the offense was inconsistently consistent, or consistently inconsistent, you had, Kadri, Huberdeau, and Coronato scoring for you. And we'll talk about Matt Coronato a little bit later, but for Kadri to have this dominance at this point in his career is pretty great. He's not over the hill. He's 34, but that's when you're on the wrong side of 30 and you're starting to creep up there. The NHL doesn't always it's not always great at the end for these older guys, but he just played out of his mind. He played like he was going to win the Stanley Cup, and I wish we got to see it in the playoffs, but unfortunately didn't happen this year. Maybe next year, who knows? But I did notice, I was just looking at like a breakdown of his stats, and he had 13 power play goals. That is pretty impressive. Again, the power play was abysmal for a chunk of the season, but you could almost always count on a Kadri power play goal, which was nice. He just quick hands, great release, and I see similarities there in Coronato with the accuracy and just the timing, not holding on to the puck too long. But I get that people want to trade away these players that can bring in incredible assets. That I understand and I can fully get behind. I don't have an argument for that or against that. But I do think that when you have a lot of young guys integrating into the lineup, i.e. Pospisil, Zary, Coronato, Klapka, a lot of these guys, like they need that strong, stable center. And no disrespect to Morgan Frost or Michael Backlund, but they're not on Kadri's level. So I think for these guys to come in and learn from Kadri and to play with him and get the juice flowing there, and his playmaking abilities. I think I think it's great. And I don't necessarily think I understand. I want the Flames to be better. I want them to be a perennial contender. I want that really bad. But I don't know how much you want to sacrifice right now for the long-term picture. I don't know. I would understand if there was a Kadri trade, of course. The same way that, I would understand if, Backlund wanted to be traded to a contender, or how the Flames may trade Rasmus Anderson. Like, I understand all of that. But when you have a guy who's putting up 35 goals, who wants to be in Calgary, who shuts down trade rumors every time he's asked about them, his name comes up, anything like that, I think it's important, because you're coming off of a season, or heading 2 seasons ago. Everyone was requesting trades, right? Left and right. And then, you trade all these people who, I don't want to be part of a rebuilding team. And then you start to make Calgary a little bit more attractive by, having such a great goaltender in Dustin Wolf. You have these iconic players with Kadri and Huberdeau in your lineup, and then, like, people want to be there. And I think that that's an important message to drive home. There's a lot to be attracted to in Calgary, and you're going to have a new venue soon, a new arena soon. So let's get to work on building a Stanley Cup contending team. Kadri can spearhead this, and we'll talk. But coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with some Matt Coronato talk, because what an unexpected year for the New York native. If you are like me, I'm sure that you love going to live events, whether it's sports, concerts, comedy, theater, you name it. I want to be entertained. And the intensity, the speed, the energy of an NHL playoff game is unmatched. So thanks to Game Time, you can get in the door easier and more affordable than ever. Game Time is the fastest way to grab your playoff tickets, even for those must-see matchups. Prices actually drop as puck drop gets closer. And with last-minute deals, you can save up to 60%. And their all-in pricing shows the total cost up front, no surprise fees at checkout. I used Game Time for, I think, 5 of the 6 Flames games I went to this year, and it was an incredible decision. Like, it was a no-brainer. I saved a lot of money. I got to see all-in pricing, and the view from my seat feature was everything I needed as a fan traveling to these games. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you are following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jess Belmosto. Matt Coronato made a statement. He made his presence known. He made it clear that he is an everyday NHLer. And I think what is so important about that message is that he came out of like the NCAA, more specifically Hockey East. They have an easier schedule. You don't have to travel as far. You're not really doing anything too crazy there. Your season's short. I mean, for all of college hockey, really. But going from NCAA to the AHL and NHL is a huge jump. And it's not one that everyone takes the same. Everyone does it differently at different times. And it doesn't always translate. Matt Coronato came into this league as a sharpshooter, great accuracy, great hands, great release. And he made his presence known. And he made it a point to stick it to every single person that doubted him. He started the season off as your 13th forward, was scratched, played in, I think, 4 games, was sent down to the AHL. That's how the nickname Matty Agent became a thing, because his agent was on Twitter retweeting fans saying that him being sent down was stupid, essentially. But he had 2 goals in 2 games and then called right back up. And that's all he needed, because after that, he was going and there was no slowing him down. The biggest, I don't want to say concern, but the biggest thing that was on my radar for Coronato was his skating, because he needed to improve. He needed to have better stamina, better technique, and he did. He worked really hard over this last summer to, refine his skills, as well as, put those skills to use in game through an 82-game season, which I find pretty impressive. So he still needs to take a few more steps. Not everything is going to be solved overnight, and development and your transition to the NHL does take a little bit of time to get you settled in and whatnot. But he worked so hard to maintain his skating and his shooting ability throughout the season. And I feel like you saw him step into a new chapter in his life. Like, you saw, he wasn't the kid that was making his NHL debut in a button-down shirt from the mall that was a size too small, not ironed, nothing anymore. That's not him. He came in and was accountable, was good with the media, did his job, and really showed people what his potential is and that it's there. Not just a flash in the pan. A lot of people that I have talked to, or that are kind of better at scouting, do think that he is going to be a 30-goal scorer around maybe not next season, but it's not that far off. I think that he just had a fantastic season, 20-plus goal scorer. It just doesn't get much better than that for a guy who was looking to hang around and to make a difference. I think that one of my favorite things about him is just his shot and how clean, quick, natural, and accurate it is. And those are things that you can obviously keep watching for. But I am hopeful that next season we get to see more of him and Zary potentially on the same line. I think that Zary's net front presence would be a great finishing touch on those few Coronato shots that don't actually go in. But overall, I think Huberdeau, Kadri, and Coronato, they played together throughout the season. I would give this line a B+. plus. I don't really want to just like hand out A's. Individually, Huberdeau gets an A. Kadri gets an A. Coronato gets, I guess, like a B plus. So I am just thoroughly impressed with how these three players performed individually, as well as a line and throughout the lineup as well. And that'll do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And I will see you back on Monday with some rumors that are turning out of the rumor mill 2 weeks into the offseason.